Dude,
Burkert.
someone left such a funny comment on the latest YouTube video. They were
Listen.
saying when you were talking about the turkey and how moist it was, someone was laughing because I kept making a face every time you would say moist and look at the camera, and someone pointed it out. It was really funny.
That's mad funny. All right. We here.
Are we live?
Yes,
We're
sir. I just
live.
gotta make it a gallery
Go
view.
tweet that
There we
thing.
go.
Go tweet that
I
thing.
will. Relax, bro. Relax.
Dude, the thumbnail is just me, and I'm like
I know.
touching my chin. I look like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan can no shot. Jesus Christ. Crazy. All right, let's get her done. What's up, Jaden? How you doing, man? How was your Thanksgiving? Great. That's what I thought. Let's see, and tweet it out. All right.
I tweeted it out as well. What's up, Sabrina? Welcome. How was your Thanksgiving?
Hey, Sabrina. How's it going? Hey, Curtis. Is it already nighttime, Curtis? I had no idea. Where are you at? Where do you live?
Where does Curtis
Where does Curtis live? Where it's nighttime already? It's like 12. Let's go, Max. Big Nuts. Always a pleasure to see you, Big Nuts. Jaden, back at it.
Had some good food.
Yeah. How was all your guys' Thanksgivings? I hope it was phenomenal. Best Thanksgivings out there. Best turkeys. Turducken.
Everyone here,
chicken.
leave your favorite Thanksgiving food in the chat. I'm curious to know. I think mine's got to be the stuffing, but cornbread is
stuffing is underrated.
Too. Stuffing is so good, man.
It's fire. Stuffing's fire.
To say, Max, I'm also extremely excited for Xavier McKinney.
Me too.
Was glad to see the Cowboys lose. Sabrina said, "Yeah, me too. Very happy."
Airborne
to see them
cheeseburger.
Lose.
I don't like that kind of energy today. Airborne cheeseburger. Brandon Allen's gonna get his salad tossed by the defense.
Turkeys.
Moist turkeys. Exactly. No, McKinney though. I'm super hyped about McKinney. Oh my god! If you guys saw the Nate Robinson Jake Paul fight, that was hilarious. The guy got knocked the hell out. I don't even know why why is that even a fight? He wants to fight Floyd Mayweather now, Jake Paul. I'm like, you're gonna get rocked by a generational talent.
Everybody's into the mac and cheese. That's what I made this year. Mac and cheese. Wow,
mac and cheese is fire.
Yep, that's what I made this year. My mom made the stuffing. My dad made the turkey. My sister made some bread. I made some mac and cheese.
Moist turkey?
Oh, my God, dude. You were talking about a moist turkey. Let me say my turkey was probably even more moist. Like, this was soaking wet. It was a great turkey.
That was the driest turkey you've ever seen.
No.
That thing was gasping for air.
What do we expect to see from McKinney today? I got to say, I don't think we're going to see too much from him. I think he'll play like 10% of snaps, but I don't know. I think, he'll be on the field. It'll be exciting to see him on the field. I think they'll just ease him into the lineup this week, and then hopefully he'll get some more reps as the season goes on. We got about 5 games left after this one, right? So hopefully by the end of the year, he's playing more of a full-time role come week 17, and hopefully for the playoffs if we make it there.
Yeah, I mean, McKinney, I'm super excited about McKinney. I think that he'll probably only get some real action in specific packages. Personally, I would only get him in if the Giants are winning, right? I don't want to, disrupt the defense's momentum or any chemistry that they have by putting McKinney in if the Giants are losing. That's kind of where I am not on board with the whole McKinney thing. I think 10% of snaps makes sense for his first action. He just came back. Literally had his first week of padded practice this week. So I think McKinney getting 10% of snaps, getting in some specific packages, and going in when the Giants are winning specifically is ideal. That's how I see them really maximizing what he has to offer right off the bat. But as for Ocean Exhibited, I see a couple of people talking about him. He actually tore his rotator cuff. He tried to come back. Obviously was not able to make this comeback, unfortunately. I think they just decided it was probably a slight tear in his rotator cuff. He thought he might be able to push through it, heal after a certain amount of time, couple of weeks he had there off. And at the end of the day, he probably tried to get back into practice and just couldn't do it. So I think they decided to just, get the surgery, come back 100% next year, and don't risk further damaging that injury, because those things can be really long-term, can actually last even after you've healed. So I'm upset about O'Shane missing this time. But Anthony, how do you think they're going to supplement the loss of O'Shane, in the short term?
Pass rush by committee, that's kind of what they've been doing all year. They've just been rotating guys in and out. I mean, O'Shane hasn't been on the field for a few weeks anyway.
It's
So,
not new, by the way.
yeah. So
That was
he's
the
been
last
missing
injury.
for a while. So I think, more Kyler Fackrell, more blitzes. Once McKinney's fully healthy, I think we'll see him blitz a lot from the safety position because that's something he's really good at. I just think they'll supplement the loss with the pass rush by committee that they've been doing all year. It shouldn't really change too much. Like it's a shame that he's not going to be out there because he's definitely a really talented pass rusher and he's an upgrade over, most of the other guys that we have. But yeah, John May just said it, next man up. I think that's really the mentality here.
Yep.
Next guy in, he should, pass rush by committee. That's really the way to put it.
I agree. I think, they've done a phenomenal job actually getting sacks this year. They ranked 7th in sacks, which makes no sense to me considering they have pretty much zero outside linebackers. They have Kyler Fackrell has been okay. Then you
Leonard
have
Williams
shared.
Leonard Williams has 5 sacks.
I'm talking OLB specifically. Like Kyler Fackrell has been he's showed up sometimes, disappeared others. The last couple of weeks hasn't really been great, but he has his flashes of play. Then you have Jabal Shared, a bunch of really new guys. You have Cam Brown, Carter Coughlin. So I think, they're trying to work these guys in and kind of rotate. But like you said before, the pass rush by committee is what they've done. Patrick Graham has done a phenomenal job getting specific players into positions to succeed, especially when it comes to rushing the passer. The linebackers have been rushing the passer on delayed blitzes, stunts. And then you have the cornerbacks. Every week they have at least one cornerback blitz. They just try and confuse the offense and they time it up perfectly. And every week they get a sack from some cornerback or safety that's trying to get closer to the line of scrimmage. So I really expect them to continue to get creative. But that interior defensive line, like you mentioned, Anthony, is absolutely bomb. Like Leonard Williams has 5 sacks. I think he has 16 quarterback pressures already. Dexter Lawrence has 3 sacks. I think Dalvin has 1.5, maybe a little bit more. So these guys, are all producing in the pass rush category, which is something that we haven't seen in recent years, especially with Leonard Williams. What's up, Tim? Williams is the kind of guy that, had 1.5 a sack last year. So nothing there. And suddenly he has 5 sacks this year. And he's a career year and he's proving himself. And the biggest thing about it is now we have to decide, do the Giants go out and re-sign, extend Leonard Williams? He's being paid $16.1 million on the franchise tag. This is the big debate, right? Because theoretically speaking, the cap is going to go down due to COVID, loss of revenue. I think it might go down as much as 20 million. So then you have, they're trying to re-sign Leonard Williams, Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe go out in free agency, get a few guys. And do you have enough money to sign Dalvin and Leonard Williams? I don't know if they do. So which player is the one, Anthony? I'm going to ask you, and you guys too in the chat, answer this. Who do you think they're going to re-sign, Leonard Williams or Dalvin Tomlinson?
I think somehow they'll swing it. They'll get both of them. I think they'll re-sign both of them somehow. I think it's going to really hurt the cap space, but I think it'll be worth it because you see what this interior defensive line can really do for your defense and how it makes really the whole defense so much better to have such a dominant interior defensive line like we have. In terms of the running game, the pass rush, they open things up for every other position to make plays. I think they're all really crucial and key to the defense's success because the defense has been really good this year. And I think that's really just because of, the interior defensive line is really the foundation of this defense. So I think if they can re-sign both of them, they should. And I hope that they do because that would, keeping those 3 guys around, keeping that long-term, chemistry, I think that's really important.
Right, no, I agree. And, I'm looking at a bunch of guys saying now maybe Gregory Rousseau from Miami getting an edge in the draft. My biggest concern with that is the Giants are ranked 6th in run defense this year, right? And they don't have really talented OLBs. Their interior defensive line's really, shouldering the load when it comes to stopping the run. And they're doing well in that category. And they're 7th in sacks. So do you really need to allocate like your top pick? Let's say they have top 10 pick. Do you really want to allocate it toward Gregory Rousseau, or do you want to go after a guy like Jamar Chase or Micah Parsons, who can do many different things and really open up either side of the ball? I think, with the way that Yannick Ngakoue is playing right now, and he's been benched already, You go out and you sign him to a 1-year deal. That's basically like prove it deal. And then he comes back. He has an awesome year for the Giants next year. And then you either extend him or you let him go. That's how I see the Giants kind of rotating at OLB. These 1-year contracts, like prove it deals, like they're doing with Kyler Fackrell, 1 year, $4.6 million. Just letting these guys kind of maximize their abilities and utilize the draft to really get a true playmaker, like best player on the board. Because when you have a top 10 pick, you just take best player on the board at that point. That's kind of like what you should do, and then let everything else sort itself out. And like, I think Tim said before, a CB2 is a huge need for us, Anthony. And I'm wondering, do you think that they're going to go out and draft a guy? Because it does take a couple of years most times for cornerbacks to get acclimated to the NFL and the physicality, speed of the game. Do you think that they go out and sign a CB2 or draft one?
I think they'll try to sign someone in free agency, but we have to keep in mind that we're not going to have a ton of cap space this offseason, so they can't really splurge on another cornerback. They splurged on a cornerback last year. They probably can't do it again. So hopefully they can try to, get someone in maybe the second round, third round, and hope that they hit on that. That's what we've been doing the past couple of years, is trying to hit on cornerbacks in the mid rounds. And a couple of them have hit. Darnay Holmes, he's not been like amazing, but he's pretty good. He's definitely shown a lot of traits that could contribute as a long-term piece of the defense. So if we could continue to hit on those mid-round picks, I'd be happy with that. And I think that's what they'll try to do. I think that's a strategy. But I do think that they might try to sign a veteran who's an upgrade over what we have, which, pretty much everyone is an upgrade over what we have. So I think they'll find someone in free agency. And now we got a good discussion in the chat right now about wide receiver 1, about who they want the Giants to sign in free agency. And I think that is a really interesting debate, because there is a chance, they draft someone in the first round at wide receiver, but more likely than not, they'll probably try to take advantage of a rich free agency class, which could have Kenny Golladay, Allen Robinson, and Juju Smith-Schuster all free agents this offseason, which is pretty nuts. I'm curious, Alex, who is your number one target there? I think, honestly, mine. I think Allen Robinson's just going to be expensive as hell, and I think Kenny Golladay is going to be a little bit cheaper than that, but I think Kenny Golladay is really good, so I think that's my pick. I would go Kenny Golladay out of those three.
So what I'll say is this. I'll say both Kenny Golladay and A-Rob are going to be expensive. The big difference here is Kenny Galladay's has been injured a lot this year, which is not convincing, not appealing to me. A-Rob's been healthy. I think that if you're going to go for a wide receiver 1, you go for a wide receiver 1. You don't go for a fringe guy or a guy that hasn't been healthy. This season coming, this is a big indicator of what could happen next year, these issues. So I think Kenny Golladay on a good team would be an absolute monster, though. That's my biggest, I would say A-Rob, because, he's proven he's been doing it with bad quarterbacks. Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles have been bad. So, seeing what he's been able to produce is pretty impressive. But then you look at Kenny Golladay, who has Matthew Stafford, who's obviously really good, but their offensive line's decent, and they just don't have good play calling. They just fired their head coach and GM yesterday. So I think Kenny Golladay on a better team, a better coach team, giving him shots downfield if he's healthy, is a wide receiver 1. I think that because he's injured this year, maybe you get him for cheaper. Maybe that's where the Giants would be looking. Let's get the guy that was injured for cheaper. And then hopefully he pans out and ends up being even better. Juju, on the other hand, I don't want to even go close to Juju. I think he's a slot receiver, and we already have Sterling Shepard. So I actually don't think Juju is the way to go. And if you're going to go draft, you go Jamar Chase if he's available, obviously.
Yeah, Mixed Sports also just pointed out Corey Davis is also going to be a free agent. I forgot about him. I would actually really like Corey Davis. I think he's a pretty solid player too. Yeah, I think he's been injured a couple of times, but I think, when he's healthy, he's a really good player. Nice outside receiver.
He reminds me, I don't know why, of Devontae Parker, just because he doesn't get enough respect for how good he actually is. I think Devontae Parker is a wide receiver 1 with questionable quarterbacks as well. And he just doesn't have he's just been kind of put through the ringer. But our safeties, Tim, I'll let Anthony talk about the safeties. I know he has a lot of ideas on money backer with Jabril and strong safety and free safety spots.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exact configuration that I've pointed out on the podcasts in recent weeks is that I would love to see Jabril play a lot of money backer, Xavier McKinney at strong safety, and Logan Ryan stays at free safety, because Logan Ryan is still learning free safety, as he said. This is his first year playing free safety full time. So I would really like him to remain in that spot. And I think a lot of people have a misconception that Xavier McKinney is a free safety and he's like this rangy ball hawk. And he's really not. A lot of what he does is gets down in the box and plays as a strong safety. So I'd like to see him at strong safety. Logan Ryan remains a free safety, and Jabril Peppers get down in the box and play that money backer role. I think that would be a really nice configuration. And then, just rotate them all over the place, keep offenses guessing as to what we're going to do on defense. But that is my favorite configuration of those three safeties, that three-headed monster, unless you're going to go three safeties on the back end, because that would be pretty cool. That would be exciting for sure. You would really have a whole lot of possibilities with those three guys once Xavier McKinney is ready for full-time action.
Yeah, and we were talking before the season about the three-head monster being Julian Love, Jabril, and Xavier McKinney. You put Logan Ryan in there. Logan Ryan's better than Julian Love. So that three-headed safety, unit just got even better. So I think, Logan Ryan, Jabril, and McKinney can be an elite trio there, which is why I'm on the board of actually extending Logan Ryan. Airborne Cheeseburger, you mentioned Logan Ryan. Can he play CB2? He could, but he's also lost his step in terms of speed. So I think he actually is preferring to play safety right now. He wants to become the best safety in the league. Also, what's up, Simon Z, OG gang. So, when it comes to Logan Ryan, I think they extend him. They make him the permanent free safety. And like Anthony mentioned, you move Xavier McKinney down to strong safety, and then you have Jabril Peppers play that like a weak side money backer role where he can cover tight ends, cover running backs on the flat, because he's not the best cover strong safety. Like, he's not that great when he's playing in zone. I think he's better. And he has the speed and athleticism to really help out in the flat because his tackling's good and he's better in the box, closer to the line of scrimmage. So I actually really love the Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney trio. And I think that extending Ryan should be essential. I think they could probably get him for like 3-year deal, maybe averaging 6 or 7 million per season, but just guarantee most of it. That way he gets his money in case of injury. I think that's pretty fair. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd like to see Logan Ryan get extended. And I think Tim Decker made a great point here. Logan Ryan is so smart on the back end. He is such a great leader, and he's really he really commands the defense. And I'm pretty sure he calls plays too sometimes and really just helps the linebackers read the defense and everything. And they all kind of, work in tandem together. I think he's been really excellent for this defense, not only in his performance, but just as a leader in general. And then I see a lot of people asking, I think Airborne Cheeseburger asking about Julian Love, like what happened to him. I think what happened with Julian Love is he's not really a scheme fit for this defense. I think in the last defense, he kind of had the flexibility to play free safety, strong safety, and he really played that strong safety role once Jabril Peppers was injured, and he thrived there. But now they really don't have any opportunity to put him at strong safety and get him into a rhythm with Jabril Peppers being healthy and playing at a pretty high level. So they really don't have any opportunity to move him in because he hasn't played that well at free safety, and he's apparently not comfortable at cornerback, it seems like, so because they have not played him there. So it looks like he's just not really a scheme fit, and I don't think that they could really trade him because at the end of the day, he is a 4th-round draft pick. So, the return on investment would probably be a 6th, 7th-round pick. And at that point, you would want to keep him just because he is such a great depth piece. He can really fill in at multiple positions if there happens to be injuries. Sometimes teams get literally just like torn to shreds with injuries. If the Giants ever have a year like that, at least we know we have a reliable defensive back utility guy in Julian Love who could fill in at 3 different positions and probably play at a solid replacement level.
That's right. And I think that Julian Love fits that utility man role, kind of like baseball. He can play multiple spots, which is super, super helpful for a defense that, if injuries do arise, he can play free safety. He can play strong safety and cornerback if you really needed him to. So I think it's always valuable to have depth players like that. And the Giants have done a phenomenal job with their drafting this past year. Because they have really good depth across the board. The OLB position, Cam Brown, we've seen Cam Brown get in there, Carter Coughlin get a couple sacks, put some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. We've seen these guys you don't expect. I mean, they went out and signed Logan Ryan, and suddenly he's the leader of the defense. Like those type of signings, those type of moves are what make good teams even better. And specifically, I definitely want to talk about the Bengals today and like what we're kind of facing off against. The Bengals, Brandon Allen, man, the guy. If you guys actually think he's good, You go check out his stats. He's not a good quarterback. He played 3 games last year. 2 of them were terrible games, under 50% completion percentages. I think he has a 46.5 overall completion percentage. He had 1 game, his first game ever. He threw 2 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. That was his best game. And from there on, it was terrible. I think opposing defenses figured out his weaknesses. He can make some decent throws every now and then, but all you got to really do, put pressure on him. Bengals offensive line, their interior offensive line is garbage. So our interior defensive line is going to eat against them. I think that is what we should be looking at. Those are the matchups that we should be looking at against the Bengals today. Our interior defensive line faced off against their interior offensive line guards and center. They have Bobby Hart at right tackle today. Like, if you're a Giants fan, you remember Bobby Hart, 7th round pick. I can't believe he even got a 3-year deal. How could you forget? 3-year deal he got with the Bengals, which is ridiculous. So I really think our defensive line is going to eat today. Patrick Graham is going to scheme up some really good blitz packages, stunts to get these guys confused. And all you got to do is get after Brandon Allen, hit him a couple times, let him make the mistakes for you, right? That's what I think they should be doing. Play the soft zone, let him overthrow balls, let him make mistakes, and then just have your guys like Logan Ryan, Jabril sitting back in coverage, and James Bradbury, and just intercepting these balls. That's what they should be doing. But my question for you, Anthony, is do you think that with Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, and T. Higgins, do you think this offense can surprise us today? Or do you think it's really Brandon Allen just can't get it done?
Well, first, I'm going to say this. Be on the lookout for this. This is something that Patrick Graham has done a couple of times here and there because, he's very creative and he likes to do a lot of disguised blitzes. He's going to exploit that matchup. Bobby Hart. Bobby Hart's typically going to be lining up and blocking the edge rushers, the outside linebackers, right? Be on the lookout for him to do this today. I promise you he will do it. We're going to see Leonard Williams stand up at outside linebacker, edge rusher role, and he's going to blitz at Bobby Hart at least once or twice in this game. And I do think he'll get a sack off of it because every time he has stood up and blitzed off the edge, it's been like pressure or sack each time. So expect Patrick Graham to exploit that. Be on the lookout for that this game. I can almost promise you that it will happen. And if it does, give me the credit. Fireside Giants, give us the credit. So that's my thing. And then in terms of the Bengals offense, they're down 2 running backs. Is Giovanni Bernard playing? Have they confirmed yet whether or not he's playing?
I think he had a concussion. Okay. I don't think he's going to play. I think it's a game time decision though. We might be able to find out. Let me check.
T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are pretty scary. I was a big T. Higgins fan in the draft process. I watched like every single receiver in this draft. I took extensive notes, and I was a big T. Higgins fan. I actually think that he's
active.
Really, Giovanni Bernard is active. Okay, I'm really not that worried about that anyway, though. I do think the offense could surprise, but I think the thing is their offensive line is just so bad. There is a reason Joe Burrow got injured. The offensive line is really, really bad, and I think that the Giants defense really knows how to scheme together a pass rush. So I'm not too worried about it. Brandon Allen, I think he's going to be pressured early and often, and it's going to be a real struggle for him to get the ball to the playmakers, even if the playmakers are really talented. So I'm not too worried about it, man. Really not.
I agree. I think they're going to keep a lot of the throws, quick throws for Brandon Allen, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, these short crossing routes. I would love to for them to play just like a very shallow zone coverage and just, make them take deep shots. Like, in my opinion, I think make Brandon Allen make the throws. Because he's not a great quarterback. He has an under 50% average completion percentage. He has 3 games of NFL experience on his back. What can you possibly expect from him? Force him to make hard throws, right? Let him take shots because for the most part, I don't trust that he's actually going to be accurate. So I think that's the perfect scenario for the Giants to really get some turnovers. They do have some playmakers. Gio Bernard is kind of irrelevant. We have a good run defense, I don't think, and their offensive line's garbage. I think we're going to completely dominate them on that front. We need to start out strong, though. If the Giants have an opportunity to get the ball first, they should take the ball, march down the field, and shove it in the Bengals' mouth. Like, that is exactly what they should be doing in terms of starting strong and really putting that Bengals on the back foot early, because that's the momentum that you need. They're away. They're 4-point favorites. This is the first time I think the Giants have been away favorites since I've been born. This is really a big game for them to win the NFC East. And Anthony, I want you to talk a little bit about, the NFC East implications, what this means if they win.
What this means if they win, as long as Seattle beats the Eagles, which we expect them to, the Giants will be in first place because they have the tiebreaker over Washington. We beat Washington twice this year. So the Giants could be sitting in first place in this division for the first time in a very long time, I feel like. And I think this would be our first 3-game win streak since 2016. Is that right?
I think
Should be,
so.
right? I think that would be our first 3-game win streak since 2016 if we can pull out a win today. So that would be huge, man. That would really signal to me that this team is headed in the right direction. We're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're finally starting to turn a corner. And I think, you know me, I'm going to give all the credit to my boy Joe
Joe.
Judge. I am the number one leader of the Joe Judge fan club, and I'm going to give him a ton of credit for that. I'm very excited to see if the Giants can pull out this win. I think they will. And uh, and I don't know. This chat is confusing me right now. I think we've been interacting quite a bit, Willie. I'm a little
I
confused.
think Willie Bum just bummed out. He's a Bengals fan lost in the mix of Giants fans. It's okay, buddy.
We've been interacting quite a bit. I'm definitely in the chat, responding to chat, so I'm a little confused with that. I'm excited for this game, though, man. I think that this will be our first 3-game win streak since 2016. I think it's going to happen. I'm very excited. Light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, Airborne Cheeseburger knows what's good. Always interacting. You crazy. Anyway, what you guys were talking about before, because I saw it in the chat as well. You guys were talking about the free agency, and Kana was like, "Oh, Gettleman deserves the credit for all these signings." We've talked about this many times. And I think that there's a few things to think about when it comes to the free agent signings. And the big one is I think that a lot of the signings were more scheme based. They let Judge and the coaching staff decide who they wanted. So I think James Bradbury was probably the only guy that, Gettleman was like, I think he's a good guy for us to go after. Even James Bradbury said, I didn't even think that they were going to call me. I didn't even think the Giants were going to call my name because I don't think he actually thought Dave Gettleman even liked him, because it's known that Dave Gettleman does not interact with the players that much. So I'm pretty interested to see like what you think, Anthony, about this. Do you think that it was more Joe Judge and the coaching staff's personnel decision-making for free agency in the draft? Or do you think that Gettleman, it was maybe like 50-50 on the decision-making?
I think that the coaching staff had a lot more input this year than they have in recent years. I think that really, I think Gettleman did a great job and we have to give him credit. And I think that Joe Judge and Patrick Graham had a lot of say in the decisions. And I think that they worked well together and they put together a great offseason. I think that's really all you could say about it. I'm not going to give all of the credit to Judge, and I'm not going to give all of the credit to Gettleman. I think that they really worked well as a team and they put together a good free agency and draft class. And I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, like AJ asked, who is your player of the game today? Who do you think is really going to blow things open and get this win for the Giants?
I'm going to say Wayne Gallman. I think that Cincinnati has the worst ranked rushing defense in the league, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's pretty exciting for us. I think, Wayne Gallman has been playing really well. I've been a big fan of the way that he's been running. And I think that him and Daniel Jones should be the players of the game. I think the offense really should break out this week, and I think it's going to be mainly behind the legs of Wayne Gallman this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The Giants are coming off 2 consecutive games with 150 plus rushing yards, so that's important to know. They're going to really be, running the football, making sure to get that time of possession. Both wins they've won time of possession and the turnover battle. So we know this. I think that the guy is going to be Daniel Jones. I think he's actually going to have a really good game passing the football. He hasn't really been scoring touchdowns through the air that much, but I think this is going to be the game where we see him get 2-3 touchdown passes. But I also think Gallman will get one. He has had this guy Gallman has really just emerged out of nowhere. He has, I think, 5 touchdowns this year, and he only had 3 in the first 3 years in the NFL. So he's already beaten, his career amount of touchdowns in the past 4 or 5 games. Pretty impressive from Gallman. The guy runs like an absolute horse. He's like a miniature version of Derrick Henry, the way he runs. Extremely fast downhill. He just tries to bulldoze guys. He's not a big guy. I think he's like 220 pounds, and he runs like he's 300-pound, like refrigerator Perry. It's hilarious. But, I think that's why they kind of rotate him a little bit, because they don't want him to get injured, because the style he runs, very injury prone, in my opinion.
Injury prone. I don't know. I mean, they rotate him in, though, so I think that's the key to that. It is running back by committee, so he plays.
That's what I'm saying.
And he runs pretty violently, and then they get Alfred Morris in there, who's a little more patient, and then they get Deion Lewis in there, who's a nice receiving back. So, you might be right, but I don't think it'll happen just because of the running back by committee, which I'm a huge fan of. I think running back by committee is a very efficient way to have a running game, and I think it helps with the passing game as well, keeping defenses guessing as to who's going to be on the field and as to what's going to happen in that running back position.
Yeah, and before we do, our final little game prediction,
Score predictions.
interesting. Basically, Nick Mangold, former Jets center, literally said this morning he hates and he thinks it's terrible that the Giants utilize rotating offensive line. They use Matt Parrott and Cam Fleming, and they rotate Matt Parrott and Andrew Thomas and Shane Lemieux and Will Hernandez. What do you think about that? Like just the entire concept of rotating an offensive line. Do you think it's actually beneficial to the Giants? Because I think it's worked pretty well. The Patriots have done it for years, and they've won 6 Super Bowls, right? So I think you don't mess with what's not broken. You know what I mean? Like I think it's working, but Nick Mangold seemed to have very very assertive opinion on that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of strange rotating offensive linemen. I've never really heard of that. I know that New England did it in 2015. But I don't know if they did it to the full extent that Judge is planning on doing it. But apparently, Judge must have really liked it because he was with New England in 2015. So he must have seen something from it that's special about it. So, I'm excited to see how it goes. I don't know. It could crash and burn. Maybe Nick Mangold is right. Maybe he's wrong, and Joe Judge is going to be the greatest coach of all time. I'm going to bet on that. I'm going to bet on my boy Joe Judge.
I'll bet on him too. Joe Judge has been killing it for us. He's really got this team. And Leonard Williams said, if you want to win, you like Joe Judge. If you're a winning player and you actually want to walk away with a win on every Sunday, you like the way he's teaching and training these guys, because it's no shit. He's not taking anything from these guys. It's very, very much disciplinary football, getting the fundamentals down, no penalties. The Giants barely get penalized. Do you guys notice that? I haven't seen the Giants get penalized this least, I guess you could say, in years. They've been phenomenal in that category. They've been very good. So that's one thing that, keep an eye on that. The penalties are very, very are kept to a minimum. And that's committed, disciplined football. Before we hop off, everyone, I want you guys to leave your score predictions in the chat. Would love to see what you guys have. I think the Giants actually break 30 points today. I'm going to go with 30-14. Giants are going to win this one, 30-14. I think this is going to be a really good offensive performance for DJ, and I think they're just going to completely stonewall the Bengals.
I'm going 33-17. I feel pretty confident in that score. I'm very optimistic for the Giants this week. I think this is a really favorable matchup, our last extremely favorable matchup until week 17. So, I'm expecting a big game from Wayne Gallman. That's going to be my game MVP prediction because I want you to do that as well. I'm going to go 33-17. Wayne Gallman has a great game, scores 2 touchdowns, and he's the game MVP. That's my prediction. And I think at the end of the day, we will all be celebrating because the Giants will be in first place in the division. Not to jinx it, knock on wood, everybody, but that's my prediction. And I see everybody's predicting the Giants to win, so I'm excited about that. Very
Absolutely.
confident
Now, exactly. I'm pretty excited. I think this is a must-win game for us, literally, if we have to win this game. So I think the Giants are going to come off the bye week healthy, ready to go. They're not going to skip a beat because Joe Judge is not going to let him like Shermer would in the past. But shout out to Big Nuts, Sabrina, Airborne Cheeseburger, Philip Santana, Jay Parker, It's Gayfro, AJ Marshall, Matt Eglow, Jacob, Cesar Hernandez, Tim Decker, the whole squad for commenting and being involved in the chat. Everyone, if you're just watching and, staying silent and kind of listening to the conversation, would love to have you involved. As always, we'll be doing some more mailbags, getting people more involved with the coming weeks ahead. That's the plan. Maybe we'll set up a call-in type of feature for the podcast so we can listen to some voicemails and stuff and really answer your questions in person like that. So that'll be pretty cool. I'll try and get something set up for you guys. But as always, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Go Giants, as always. And we will talk to you guys this upcoming week. Hopefully, what do you think, Tuesday or Monday? Yeah, Bradbury 7 interceptions. I hope so.
I think we can get it out tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. Because I think we're going to be excited about this one. I think it's going to be a big win. Oh, yeah, Among Us. We're going to do that soon, man. We are going to stream Among Us soon.
We can do it this week.
I was moving back home from school last week, so we couldn't really do it. But this week, we're definitely going to be having a little Among Us stream. We'll play with you guys, and we'll talk Giants as we do it. It'll be
Absolutely. Fun. All right, fellas. We'll catch you later. Enjoy the game.
All right. Let's go Giants.